Hello and welcome to the first edition of Journalist Hangout. This week, I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. As we hang out today, we'll be talking about the economy. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo says President Buhari is not sound in dealing with economic and foreign affairs matters. We'll also be looking at the success recorded in the fight against Boko Haram terrorists up north. So if you're ready, let the hangout just start now. Former President Olusegun Obasanjo is at it again. Last week, he passed a harsh judgment on President Muhammadu Buhari. He suggested that Nigeria might struggle in economic spheres and possibly have a gloomy foreign affairs because President Muhammadu Buhari is not sound at handling economic and foreign affairs issues. Surprisingly, the same former President Olusegun Obasanjo last October showered encomium on President Muhammadu Buhari, saying world leaders have confidence in his capability to transform the country. Former President Goodluck Jonathan had a similar experience with former President Olusegun Obasanjo when he wrote a devastating letter to disown former President Goodluck Jonathan, his political son and protege, and almost tore his government apart. Considering his antecedents, former President Obasanjo appears to be notorious putting down his foes and friends alike, regardless of how well they are performing. Is the statement of former President Obasanjo true of this government? We'll try and unravel this now. All right, we'll take this quick break. When we return, we'll talk more. Please don't go away. It's still Journalist Hangout. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Journalist Hangout, and we're looking at the state of the economy. I have Babajide Kolade Otitoju in the house. Jide, how was the weekend?
Fantastically fine.
That's now
Yes.
the new word in Nigeria.
You asked me a question. I've answered you.
All right, and also have Lekon shot in the house. Lekon.
Well, it's been okay. It's just that what's been happening in Nigeria now, this fuel thing and the budget. I've been thinking about it.
I'll be looking out for your column this week, Lekon.
Okay.
And last but not the least, to their bottom.
Yep. Yeah, it was a fine Sunday. The rain kept me indoors most of the time.
Oh, we needed
Very
that rain.
unusual.
That rain.
It was
It's been very,
it kept me
very hot.
indoors
Very heavy
throughout
rain.
the day.
Very heavy rain.
It's good to keep you indoors.
All right. Why not sound in economy, foreign affairs, Olusegun Obasanjo? Jide, let me start with you.
I think Nigerians must be very familiar with Olusegun Obasanjo now, because he's a man who has a reputation for hitting people when he can sense that they are down. When he can sense that they are in trouble, that is when he hits them. When everyone is talking about you that you are doing well, he joins them in your praise. He did that for Buhari. Somebody who said in October that Buhari is capable of taking Nigeria to the promised land. Buhari is capable of transforming Nigeria. The same man is telling us now that Buhari is not good enough when it comes to the economy and
Foreign affairs.
diplomacy. Now, is it possible to transform a country without fixing the economy? Because he has told us now that, oh, when it comes to the military, yes, Buhari is good. He's scored him very low in terms of the economy. Now, and you had said earlier that this man would take us to the promised land. So I've been observing him for some time now, the last few weeks. he's been trying to show Nigerians that, oh, when I was there, I did this thing a lot better. I saved a lot of money. I didn't have so much in terms of foreign reserve, and I didn't make a lot of noise. I recovered a lot of money from the abachas. I didn't make so much noise about it. He has a way of tactically firing darts at people. And Nigerian leaders who have written books, their own books, talk about their time as Nigerian leaders, go and check their comments about Obasanjo, especially former President Shehu Shagari. His comment about Obasanjo is unflattering because he said, look, as far as this man is concerned, there is nobody good enough for Nigeria except him. That's the way he sees himself. And occasionally, he tries what we call the Saul moment. You know Saul in the Bible, at a point, a zealot, he repented and became a good man in quote. He tries this Saul moment in from time to time, trying to appear like somebody very good, trying to appear like the nicest thing since sliced bread before Nigerians. He does that again and again and again. The circumstances are different. Look at the time when Nigerians felt that the annulment of June 12th was bad. You heard what Obasanjo went to Kenya to say. That look, this Abiola that you people, because the international community couldn't stand the fact that Abiola won an election and he was not allowed to take his mandate. But what they didn't know was that Obasanjo had already aligned with the people who annulled the election, because he was thinking that there would be an interim national government that he would head. He had already aligned with the annullers of the election. So when he went to Kenya, he said, look, this person that you people are shouting his name, we grew up together and I can tell him that it's not the Messiah that Nigeria needs. How do you say that when people back home, you know, some of them lost their lives because they tried to defend the mandate? So this is what Obasanjo continues to do to our people. He talks about diplomacy, foreign affairs. With what we have seen the president achieve, with the huge respect that this Nigerian president has. Because I've not seen
that I don't think he has done badly.
I've not seen a Nigerian president, and I don't say these things lightly, I've not seen a Nigerian president that the international community respects for his honesty, for his decency, for his pattern discipline, like Muhammadu Buhari. And they say it publicly. America's #3 man came here to Nigeria to say it. That we respect this man because he's honest, he's incorruptible. President Obama also said it. With our president seated. It was a day for me to be really proud as a Nigerian. All of that didn't happen during Obasanjo's time, because the international community was aware that as much as Obasanjo would like to pretend that he's a Puritan, that he does not get his hands soiled in corruption and all that, they know that Obasanjo is not as clean as he tries to present himself. A president who will pile pressure on his Attorney General to file a nolle prosequi in respect of somebody who was corrupt, manifestly corrupt, cannot be said to be incorruptible. And there's no way that he can expect the international community to respect him the way they respect Buhari now. So it could well be a case of jealousy. Maybe it's not, because if you are saying this man is a failure when it comes to diplomacy, how come he recorded the achievements that he recorded in the UAE? We are now, we've entered into a pact with them. Nigerians who used to stash money abroad, I mean in Dubai, they know now that such monies are not safe. We have even signed a kind of a deal with them whereby we can exchange prisoners or detainees. And you say this man has not achieved anything. I mean, it's not good when it comes to diplomacy. And everywhere he goes, when he comes back, we see the result. We see that people are ready to listen to Nigeria. People are ready to work with Nigeria. You saw the way he's been able to achieve a kind of unanimity between us and the countries around us. China, Chad, Niger, Cameroon. It is unprecedented what he has done in that area. Yet Obasanjo wants me to believe that this man knows nothing about international relations. So the thing is, go back, check what he said about his own boy that he imposed on us. He saw somebody, he was the one who imposed Jonathan on us. He looked for the worst of the worst and imposed him on us. When that one would not listen to him, because Donyo Okupe and others didn't allow him to allow the man to listen to Obasanjo, to be dictated to by Obasanjo, because he wanted to do talk time by proxy. When that didn't happen, he turned against him and started calling him names, going abroad to demarket him. Now Buhari is facing problems. We know. We can't deny that this is not, I mean...
A rosy time.
Yes, a rosy time for our president. But for someone who supported him, who did his best to demarket Jonathan so that Buhari can emerge, it is extremely shameful, in my view, that you go around and be talking about it's not good on the economy, it's not good. How come even his own deputy, go and read Obasanjo's book and see the kind of comments that he had for Atiku and other people. You can't be the only one who is good. You can't be, and unfortunately, Atiku continues to show him respect. Atiku will go and visit him in Ota. And we won't know that this is how this man passes. You know, Atiku almost attended even that book launch, not knowing that Obasanjo reserved the worst place in hell for him in that book. So this is the kind of person that we have. And for me, I know I've seen interviews that President Buhari did about Obasanjo, how he described Obasanjo as Mr. Know-It-All. If I can get a copy of that interview, I'll bring it on this program. Buhari knows him very well. He knows him very well. So whatever he says now, I'm not sure that Buhari will be surprised. He's somebody that they need to manage carefully. They need to manage him carefully and they need to watch him. And they must not pin their hopes on him, because with Obasanjo around you, you really don't need an enemy. You really don't need someone to put you down. You must see him for what he is.
Looking at the merits of what Olusegun Obasanjo said, you might be looking at the turn of events in the country, the economy. Now, Judy has spoken about the foreign affairs and everything. Now, looking at the merits in the economy, we are not doing so well. And is there no modicum of, the fact in what he has just said, that handling economy matters might not be just too sound, that President Buhari might not be too sound in handling economic matters?
I don't want to dwell too much on former President Olusegun Obasanjo. I want to take a theoretical, if you like, academic tack on this issue. I know it's early days to actually make a complete, total judgment about the Buhari administration. I know it's an early day. I mean, it's not even yet 1 year old in office. I think Hans Morgenthau, probably the #1 theorist in international relations of the 20th century, clearly identified that national interest is the major purpose of governments when they engage in international relations. Okay? And Adam Smith, if you recall, probably the first economic theorist, also said self-interest is the #1 thing that you look for in economics. Now, Nigerian Constitution, Section 14B, says security and the welfare is job #1 of any government. And General Obasanjo, I'm using General Obasanjo advisedly. General Obasanjo has identified that Buhari is strong on the security aspect. Now, if you are able to command and control your environment, I think you can then begin to work on your economy, on your welfare, and therefore the economy. What am I driving at is that even in international relations and economics, charity begins at home. So if Obasanjo says Buhari has a pass mark in the war against insurgency, that is working hard on security, I like to think that that is a good beginning, towards what we will likely get. Like I said, it's early days for me to say that Buhari is doing extremely well or extremely badly right now. But I can see a direction, you know. For example, I am worried. I have also stated it even in my column that the foreign affairs minister is not active enough as far as I'm concerned. Okay. Now, I'm told, I understand that the economic team of Nigeria is led by the vice president, which the constitution confers upon him. But I like to see people outside of government, people who are holding positions as ministers or whatever. I will need other people to, like eggheads, who can, shall we say, yes. So that's the only issues that I have for now with the Buhari. As far as I'm concerned, security is doing well, and I think once you can secure, that's job number one. I think it's doing well.
I said, Atuli, Obasanjo also said Buhari was and will never be a perfect man.
Well, when we have to discuss about President Obasanjo, we have to look at certain things. Number one, we have a president in Buhari who is an unusual person, who has come at a particular unusual time in the history of Nigeria. So for any particular former leader to now begin to award pass mark, knowing fully well that he has his own failures as a person, I think it would be unjustified for us to begin to reduce Nigeria to the issue of somebody who sees himself as an indispensable person in Nigeria. When General Buhari came in 1984, 6 months into that government, Obasanjo gave a speech in Ibadan in which he accused Buhari and Idiagbo of parceling up Nigeria. So this is not the first time he's pulling Buhari down. And Buhari, like Ejide said, knows Obasanjo very well. And secondly, when you look at the fact that, like he said, in international relations, your domestic environment is a function of the domestic foreign policy you are going to have. And if Ejide said something here last Monday, which may have lost track of that, he was proposing that President Buhari has to get a concert of neighbors of Nigeria, who happens to be the French. And 4 days later, we heard the news that the president has summoned a meeting of West African Region Force, which attracted the French president to Nigeria. So for these people to come to Nigeria, it shows that they sympathize and they appreciate the enormity of the problem. They also appreciate the fact that the Nigerians' neighbors, that happens to be Chad, French, and Togo, they have to be involved if there must be peace in West Africa. So for them to leave England 24 hours and find themselves in Nigeria, we also have to know that if perhaps President Obasanjo has a major disagreement with Buhari, that was why he came out at that particular moment. I want to believe, and we are yet to get it. That was why he came out to
we
see
were
that
discussing, President Buhari said something to I think the BBC Hausa service, that they were going to probe the oil sector, I mean the power sector, which we discussed here.
Yes.
And he said they would take it back to since 1999. I'm sure Obasanjo has been feeling uneasy after that. He has also said some things like maybe even the Ali Burton thing. You never can trust Buhari sufficiently that he would not come after you if there is sufficient proof that you are culpable in the act of corruption or in any way. So maybe he's feeling uncomfortable. But this is the way he is. And you know where I really got troubled? In that same event where he's been quoted, he's already sounding like he's looking beyond Buhari already. Let me quote what he said. He said, because they asked him that does he have faith in Nigeria, the way, the direction Nigeria is headed. He now said, I'm an optimist as far as Nigeria is concerned. If somebody doesn't get it all right for now, we will get somebody who will come up and fix whatever is missing. That's Obasanjo for you. Remember, even under Babangida, remember the interview that he granted to Tell magazine, where he said this government is a fraud.
It's fraud, fraudulent.
You know?
Yes.
My biggest worry is there were things that Obasanjo should have done which he didn't do. For example, under him, he allowed infrastructure to literally collapse in Nigeria. And he was storing money like an old-fashioned businessman, just keeping money. Whereas money can only generate more money when you put it to use. If we invest in infrastructure, for example, more money will be made. You can't tell me, look at Babala King's look at what he put there. Fantastic terminal.
Yep.
Do you know how many people got employed?
Yes.
In that place. Around it, you see eateries and all that. Before that thing was built, there was nothing like that. Those guys wouldn't have gotten that employment. He refused to invest in infrastructure. He left the Lagos-Ibadan expressway to be killing people for 8 years. Even the road that leads to Ota, where he has his farm, Obasanjo didn't think that it was right to fix the road. Then you were just keeping money. Your greatest achievement as a Nigerian leader was that you kept some money and even paid our debt.
That's really
America is the greatest debtor in the world. If America were to pay its debt today, I don't think that's even a possibility if they were to finish paying their debt. And the debt that he paid, we know the people who got commissions for paying that debt, and they became very rich. So we don't even want to talk about all of that. But the reality is, a president that is respected in the international community because of his discipline, integrity, his anti-corruption stance. You are now giving us the impression that it's a failure when it comes to diplomacy. How?
Let's take our first caller. Ade is calling us from Lagos.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us, Ade.
About this particular issue. Baba, hello, Baba. Baba has failed from day one to do whatever he wanted to do. He should allow Buhari to he should stop saying all those rubbish that they will bring somebody to come and fix the country. You don't understand, sir. They should allow this man. The man is on the right channel. They should allow him to work. This subsidy, he has removed the subsidy, and he will stay for life. Those people, they are wicked. We are the masses suffering for the thing. But let them remove the subsidy once and for all. Baba, you go and sit down, please.
Thank you, Ade. Lekon, he's saying, Olusegun Obasanjo said, we silently recovered $1.2 billion from Abacha and his men. Wow. Check out that word, silently. That's the government, actually, this one that's, we are talking in terms of achievement and everything that we are, the way the newspapers are celebrating, you know, the recovery and everything. He's saying we silently recovered.
That's another, it's firing at them again.
It appears you want me to talk about this, man. Well, if you silently recover money, and we can't quite determine exactly how much was recovered.
And to what use? And to what use?
I think the man who publicly recovers and tells us how much is recovered, you understand, is doing better than you, who recovers and we don't quite know how much is recovered. So I think rather than put the man down, you should be commending him. But Jiri has said something, that this is somebody who likes to blow his own trumpet. I looked at the question that the gentleman asked him. Nobody asked, how do you think the economy is going? There was no reason for him to start getting into we recovered money or we didn't.
He's trying to show that it's better than
it wasn't necessary.
No, that is his style.
Ayo, you want me to talk about this man, and I really don't want. I think
if we even go back to the letter the daughter wrote about him 2 years ago, then you know it's a perfect treatise on Obasanjo, who happens to be the father of the person who wrote that letter. If you go back and read that letter, then there's no need for us to even be talking about Obasanjo. Okay, look at it for the fact that internationally, Obasanjo is much more noted as an international figure than a Nigerian. Perhaps it's becoming uncomfortable with the rising profile
Yes.
of President Mohamed Buhari,
Yes.
who has been able to gather all the West African leaders. Because except we gather our West African leaders together, you cannot ensure the safety of Nigeria. And your domestic environment is a function of how respected you are in the international environment. Besides that, President Obama invited him, and he has cause to even introduce him and describe him as a man of integrity in the whole world. So what is Obasanjo trying to say? I think, like I said, this is a story we're going to hear another day, but I know there's a major disagreement. Maybe President Buhari has stepped on a particular area which Obasanjo is not particularly comfortable with. And we are going to know.
Remember, he also said the other day that Buhari should stop complaining that they didn't leave enough in the foreign reserve, that what he met was lower than that, and that he proceeded to do the work. He wasn't complaining.
So I think Obasanjo, we should not make the man an indispensable
There's
human
something
being. It's only God that is
let me quickly
indispensable.
take Buddy. Buddy is calling us from Lagos. Thank you for joining us, Buddy.
Gentlemen, good evening there.
Good evening, Buddy.
Yeah. Let me give kudos to you for actually bringing a statement like this, to be open, to be straight, really. Well, yes, Obasanjo is one of the people that we need to watch in this country. Yes.
Yes,
And
Buddy,
we
continue.
need to be very, very careful with such people. Otherwise, if we go to sleep and put our heads on the pillow, people like this can truncate this government for us and put us into another trouble. So it's somebody to be watched, and it's good that his statement is being expressed.
Thank you. Thank you for Buddy.
We see, let's go back to history. There used to be a man in Nigeria, Chief Obafemi Awolowo. He will sit down, study your policy copiously,
And you offer
alternative, a critique, a deep analysis, and offer you a way out. I think that man was a thorn in the flesh of General Olusegun Obasanjo military administration. And I guess now that we don't have Chief Awolowo, Obasanjo thinks that he can enter into those shoes. Well, I guess we need somebody who can do that. But I like to say that Obasanjo is doing this in protest, and is not even competent at doing this.
Yes. It's difficult for me to agree with you, Lekon.
Go ahead.
Because this is somebody that we say has seen it all. Two-time civilian president, military president, and what have you. Yeah. And is meant to be given, although it might not be a very good atmosphere for him to grant press interview to criticize this man. But
I said something.
It might be an advantage
sit down
position
and study, not read, study, critique your policy, information that can help him understand your position, and then come up with things that are strong, that you can't ignore. Don't forget, Harold Wilson, a British Prime Minister, said Awolowo could have competently be a British Prime Minister.
Or American President.
Or American President. Do you understand? Now, for you to be speaking off the cuff, without deep thought, somebody asks you a question, rather than just simply answer him, he was just rambling. You just went into other things. I don't want to talk about this man. You just went into other things and you derail yourself, and then you are creating enemies for yourself for no reason, and you have not even addressed the issue positively.
What has he done? But it will still be safe for us to say this man means well, as in is a friend of this administration.
It means well.
We don't have evidence to the contrary.
You don't have evidence that he's a friend of the administration.
I throw darts at this government.
I've seen newspaper reports, him going to Aso Rock, going to see the president, meeting with the president behind closed doors.
Yeah, this is what
less than 1 month ago.
The thing is, let's be students of history for once. When Obasanjo wrote that letter, that ridiculous letter that they called the open letter to Jonathan, the first thing Jonathan said was, look, you have access to me. You have access to me. You come to Aso Rock when you like. You could have told me that, look, this is where, instead of going to town with it, it's the same thing that we are beginning to see now. Nigerians should quote me. You will see that as long as this crisis that we have persists, Obasanjo will try to use that opportunity to be taking pot shots at Buhari, because that is what he likes. He waits to... He attacked Jonathan in 2013. He didn't attack Jonathan in 2011, no, when he was at the apogee of his popularity with Nigerians.
He was campaigning for him now.
He waited until 2013 when those governors had begun to defect, when the man was already having problems. So you can see now this fuel scarcity and other things. This government is struggling. It is at this time that he has chosen to do, to do what he has done. For me, we know that he's a self-serving, obnoxious, and extremely intemperate and selfish fellow. He said, he famously said that what Obasanjo pursued all his life,
he got it.
Thank God that he got it before he was 40.
Before he was 40.
So, and we know, go and read this book, My Command. He tried to attribute the success of the Civil War to himself.
And which was debunked by...
And we know the like of what, with the likes of Benjamin Adekunle, we know the role that they played. Muitala Mohammed, the role that they played.
Go and read just before done by
wanted to appropriate all the credit for the war. You know, he likes to parade himself like he's the most courageous person to ever rule Nigeria. And we know that before, when Obasanjo was going to be made head of state, after the death of you know that he ran away. He went to hide inside the ship. He went to hide inside the ship. No, we know. Remember those palm sex? I think it was Aida or someone that wrote. He hid inside a ship. He ran away.
Let me take Ayeni is calling us.
That means he's fantastically cowardly.
Let me take Ayeni. Thank you for joining us, Ayeni.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Ayeni.
Yes, sir.
Yes, hello, go ahead with your contribution.
Concerning the issue of our former president, Mr. General Obasanjo.
Yeah.
Obasanjo is not somebody we should be taking his word. We should be taking his word like something in this country. When he was the president for 8 years, he abandoned the Southwest. He couldn't do anything in the Southwest. Even some region in the country, he could not do anything in the region. Now somebody is there performing. What Obasanjo is doing now, I can see it as a sign of maybe jealousness or act of jealousness. But when you were there, what you could not do, somebody is now doing it. So I expected more than what Obasanjo is doing. I expected more than this.
Ayeni, it is called Ilara.
It is Ilara in Yoruba.
Yes, Ilara. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. God bless.
And in Yoruba they say Ija Ilara on top.
Somebody who said that when he was there, he recovered how many $1.something billion. That's what, there's no transparency, no accountability in the Obasanjo government. This one now, he said maybe this one as he's doing it openly now, it would be jealousy, because everybody knows what he will cover, and you cannot just spend it anyhow. During his own time, he awarded the power project without some people, some contractors doesn't have this only paperwork. You have to give them a lot of money, billions of naira.
Thank you, Ayeni. Thank you for your contribution. Before we move forward, Jide.
Before you move forward,
we have to move forward, Jide.
Before you move forward, let's not worry about it. Before you move forward, the biggest corruption cases in Nigerian history happened during Obasanjo's regime. Siemens, National ID Card, Alibotin, so many. So the biggest in Nigerian history. That's why Transparency International rates Goodluck Jonathan, that we abuse all the time, as having fought corruption better than Obasanjo. Go and check.
Now, we even said fighting corruption isn't effective if not shown on the citizens. I don't know.
How did this reflect on us when he was recovering money from Abacha? How did he reflect from you and I?
Maybe they recovered the money and...
They considered some of the money to Mohamed Abacha and the Abacha family. People stole our money. You entered into a deal with them.
And you never briefed Nigeria. They never briefed Nigeria. They never briefed Nigeria about how much they got from Abacha family up to today.
Some people said to a tune of $1 billion. I don't know.
You mean what they got?
Yeah.
That's about $2 billion that we considered to them that they can take it. You know? So much corruption happened during that time. Babangida said it that because we made so much money from oil under Obasanjo, and the kind of volatility that we have in terms of oil pricing now didn't happen during that time. It may not have been as high as Jonathan's period, but it was consistently high.
per
Consistent, so you can plan. But under Obasanjo, what did we do? Babangida said he could have even gone for nuclear power because of the kind of money that we made at that time. Was it not $18 to a barrel that they were selling it during the first Gulf War? You know, and it went to 25, and we said, oh, so much money. Somebody got 70 consistently, and what did they do with it?
All right. After the break, we'll talk about insurgency in the Northeast. The military says it is raising the bar and seriously decimating Boko Haram. Please stay with us. It's still Journalist Hangout. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The ongoing fight against insurgency in the Northeast is yielding positive results. Recently, the commander of the multinational Joint Task Force, Major General Lamidi Adeosun, said in the last 5 months, no fewer than 675 Boko Haram members have been killed and 566 others arrested. He added that 32 terrorist camps, including factories used for making improvised explosive devices, IEDs, were destroyed by the units. This is another groundbreaking achievement by the military. But how soon can the Northeast be a peaceful region? Tunde Abaton.
Yes, well, I think there's something that we have to admit in Nigeria. This is the very first time in the 56 years history of this country that we are fighting a very serious and potent guerrilla warfare. We have never been, our military have never been experienced this before. And it is a borderless guerrilla warfare. Borderless in the sense that it is not even restricted to Nigeria alone. All the neighboring African countries are traditional posts for recruiting those people into the Boko Haram. So that, like, we have to go back to the performance of President Buhari again, that you can get a concerted effort of 4 countries in West Africa, including France, that happen to be their colonial master, to come down at a round table and solve that thing, means that it has really worked on the foreign scene. And without necessarily getting your neighbors, you cannot reduce the impact and intensity of Boko Haram like we have done. But what we should not expect is that we completely wipe it out without necessarily a whimper from the little we have all over the place. So yes, we are winning the war, but the thing is that Boko Haram insurgents may not be able to move en masse again, but you cannot completely stamp out isolated cases of suicide bombing here and there, because they still have remnants of resources they are using. And I think with this multilateral force, with the backing of the French and all our neighboring countries, I think with the passage of time, Nigeria, the Northeast will begin to know peace. The mere fact that, look, when you look at the issue of what China is promising Nigeria in terms of direct foreign investments, about $6 billion, if Nigeria is not safe enough, if Nigeria is not considered to be a safe place, contrary to what President Obasanjo said, China will not come and invest in Nigeria. And secondly, the man is, there's no way we will not go back, because when your opponent is trying to do what you have not done, President Buhari has done what any other person has not done by abdicating or beating a treaty with our traditional trading partners, that is Britain, US. All our leaders have always looked towards them, but he has been able to cut a deal with China that is the biggest threat economically to the United States of America. So it is enough reason for anybody who has what they call Ilara to be jealous. Yes. And like the Yoruba say, the war of jealousy, you cannot win it. Ìjà Ilara kì í tán bọ̀rọ̀. Àjùn wọn ṣe wé nílẹ́jọ́.
Lekon, looking at the number of 566 terrorists were arrested in 5 months, what should you do with these individuals?
Last week or 2 weeks ago, Jire was talking about that about 3 local governments are still within the control of Boko Haram. The number of men who are picked up or killed is irrelevant to me. What's relevant to me is that we have reclaimed territory. Do you understand? If you simply say you have killed people, you have seen silos where they keep guns or armories and all that, it's okay. You are reducing the material of the enemy. But I need you to, as Luku said, command and control territory. So I don't need the population or statistics of people who died. I don't need to do body bag counts. What I need is, have we taken control? So if you ask me, this is not enough information for me. I'd rather we have taken over and we have knocked them down. And yes, they now just have, just as today saying, maybe sporadic
isolated
forays, So this is okay, but as far as I'm concerned, this is not too much for me. It's not enough.
Judy, are we going to say the evil days are over?
No. This is actually something coming from the multinational Joint Task Force. The multinational Joint Task Force is led by Major General Lamidi Adeosun, somebody I can describe as a true Nigerian hero. I don't praise Nigerian soldiers regularly, but Lamidi Adeosun is a soldier, because look, before the election, he was the GOC of 7th Division. They made that change just before the election, and Lamidi Adeosun led from the front, and he ensured that we reclaimed all the territory that these guys were holding before the election, with the support, of course, of Chadian troops. Lamidi confident that he told the Chadian soldiers that, look, I don't need your support to retake Baga. I don't need your support to retake Goza. Many of us feared Goza because of the terrain, the hills upon which these guys were hiding.
For the election that time, I remember I was talking about Goza several times.
Lamidi provided leadership, and I'm so happy with the president, because the president knows how to identify the real soldiers, the people who are working. There are qualities that I see in this president that make me to respect him. The likes of Obasanjo will never see that place, because they are busy talking about themselves. Now, the president decided to, that the president made Tukur Yusuf Burate the commander of the multinational joint force.
Yes.
President Buhari will be a fantastic president when it comes to diplomacy. And I will explain to you. He got our neighbors to agree that Nigeria should produce the commander of the multinational joint task force.
Since we are going to be funding it,
and
as in
he sent Burate there. Burate was the commander of the infantry, the Nigerian infantry, the overall head of the Nigerian infantry. he sent Burate to...
That's the fighting men.
Yes, the ground troops. He sent Burate to head the multinational joint force. Now, from there, he made him the chief of army staff. After he made him the chief of army staff, he identified Lamidi Adeosun
to replace him.
Oh. He sent Lamidi Adeosun.
Where was he before?
Lamidi Adeosun was the GOC 7th Division in Maiduguri.
Okay.
And he coordinated the recovery of the territories in those three states.
Before the election?
Before the election, Adamawa had 7 local governments in the hands of Boko Haram. Lamidi reclaimed. The big towns in Borno State, where we even had serious military presence, Boko Haram chased us away from our barracks. He reclaimed those towns. The garrison town of Monguno, for example, reclaimed it, recovered the barracks. So the president has rewarded him by giving him that job. Now I'm happy. This is the success story of the multinational joint force, largely between Nigeria and Cameroon. Cameroon has made a lot of gains against Boko Haram. You can hardly hear now that Boko Haram is operating in Cameroon. So this is good news. We've secured the Cameroon border area. There is constant patrol, but my problem is with the area under Chad's jurisdiction. That's where we have not been able to actually deal with these guys.
Okay, Jide, let me quickly take Olubumi. Olubumi is calling us from Ogun State. Thank you for joining us, Bumi.
I really appreciate you each time you come on here with most of your programs. But I'm very disillusioned about the set of guys, the 3 guys on the table with you today. I might be rude. It's a pluralistic and a flexible nation. I see them as unintelligent, and their political exposure is so low and minute. Because we have 2 sides of the coin, with all due respect. And I'd appreciate it even if it's a day or a time you invite me as a journalist as well to the program.
Okay.
The abuse on Obasanjo is so minute, on President Obasanjo is so minute. Having been a president, civilian president and a military president, the democracy we're enjoying in the nation today, Obasanjo is the godfather of democracy in the nation because he handed peacefully to the Democrats. What you are talking about today, if not for Obasanjo, why won't he even be the president? And we are not all blind in the nation. I talk about Otitology, but I'll call him Irology today. You understand? The 3 of them. And I will advise you to advise opposition journalists for and against for shows next time. I've been trying to get to your ear as well in the morning, you understand? And you are such a good man, and I see you and your balance and your composure. I think you should throw your journalists, your show very open to people to come, because these 3 guys are very unintelligent.
We have to interject you there. We don't have such people like opposition journalists. A journalist is a journalist.
Our president was in
Thank you, Bumi. Thank you, Bumi, for your contribution. I understand your sentiment. Bumi is calling from Ogun State. Maybe Bumi is from Egba. But then, the beauty of it is that, Bumi, we can't get opposition journalists. There's no such thing. A journalist is a journalist. And there's no how I can tailor their points of view. There's no how I can get or aggregate their points of view before coming on the show. So, whatever you
criticize the president,
whatever you hear from me, this is Jide praising the president today to high heaven. Oh, most time. That's the beauty of it. And sometimes you just see Jide and you say, man. So
he's somebody that I respect so
watching.
Much. But
when you watch, you understand the way.
Maybe she doesn't watch us regularly.
Maybe this is your first.
We criticize Amici here. We criticize Fashola here. You know, I'm sure even in future we'll still talk about Fashola because he has not been able to give us light. We'll criticize him. So there's nothing like opposition journalists. We are journalists. We are not politicians.
I can tell you that they are not card-carrying members of any political party.
What is our own with politicians?
Especially Jide, you can't even place your hand on him. Well, today is a little bit to the right, tomorrow is so that's the beauty of our job. That's the beauty of our job for me. But thank you for watching. Thank you for your contribution. Subsequently, I'm sure you would know how this program runs, Bumi. But finally, when we're looking at the gains, now before we had a situation whereby these people, they've gone to Abuja, they've gone to the United Nations building, they've gone to police headquarters, they've been to this day building, and that this day building destruction. They were even taking they were taking video.
They
were recording themselves. You know, the audacity at that time. But we know they might not have been totally eliminated, but they've succeeded. They might have been adequately incapacitated.
We've degraded them.
It is true.
We've not technically defeated
There's
them,
no doubt about it.
but we've degraded
Their
them.
impact has been sufficient.
If you remember, look at what the British envoy was saying. Is he envoy?
Envoy. Yes, envoy.
I'm not a newscaster. You know, the man was saying Boko Haram's threat remains. So what we can't do,
those guys,
what we
they
can't
have
afford
intelligence.
to do. Yes, they have information that we don't have. And the information that the Nigerian army is holding from the rest of us, they have. So he's saying these guys, their threat remains.
Like that CNN
let's
video.
Not, let's
that
not.
got to Nigerian army December and nobody knew about it till CNN played it.
So he said, let's not begin to think that, no, this threat is gone. And he's saying that we must, that if ISIS should have a foothold in Libya, we may begin to see ISIS fighters coming into Nigeria.
Yes.
So they don't
Former
want
President Olusegun Obasanjo even said that the death of Gaddafi at that time.
He said if they have a foothold, they will come here, because he was trying to analyze why would they join ISIS. Today they call themselves Islamic State of West Africa. And we have suspicion that even some of the attacks on some of the West African coasts that have been carried out.
Mali,
yes.
you know.
And if it continues like that, that means places like Lagos, that is on the coast, they actually come here. So he's trying to remind us, let's not think we've defeated this guy. And remember again, I think yesterday, Boko Haram launched another attack on Nigerian troops. Because inside Sambisa forest now, Boko Haram still has its presence. Nigerian soldiers are there. They too, they are there. Occasionally they exchange fire with one another. So we have.
But the place is so big.
It's so big. I've said it repeatedly that it covers about 7 states, up to even Jigawa State. Right. You know, Bauchi, Jigawa, Kano, all the way within Sambisa. So we have not defeated them. Anybody who says we've defeated them is deceiving himself. But we have done significant damage to them, and they cannot, the kind of threat that they constituted some months back, they know that they no longer constitute such threat.
Now our soldiers can even like identify somebody that is wearing suicide vest, because some of them, they take them out before they wreck lately.
And the civilian JTF, they are being used well. They are sons of the soil, and they have the what's it called? They understand the psychoanalysis. You know, the psychoanalysis of these guys. They have it.
Let me quickly take my last caller. Akinloye is calling us from Lagos. Akin, thank you for joining us, Akin.
Yeah, good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Akin.
Lagos.
I quite appreciate the good job you people are doing.
Thank you, Akin.
Especially the journalists condemned by Olubunmi. Probably Olubunmi is a family of Obasanjo. Let me say this. President Muhammadu Buhari is the best president Nigeria has ever produced. I'm a Yoruba man.
Why don't we wait for 4 years?
Wait, let's him finish strongly.
We know its antecedents. You can listen to the encomium splash on Buhari when he visited United States of America by President Obama.
Yes.
I felt highly exhausted to be in Nigeria. They know all these people. The Western world knows them. They know Obasanjo. They know all the past leaders. If you are talking of corrupt leaders, think who has President Buhari. Look at the way he has dislodged all these Boko Haram within less than a year in government. Something the past government could not do within 4 years. I give him kudos, and God will continue to spare his life for us.
Amen.
A good leader is a leader that do things through technocrats.
Thank you, Olubunmi. Thank you, Yes, my producer is just, giving Olubunmi a kind of invitation. Since you said you're a journalist, and Olubunmi, you can always just get in touch. Maybe my producer will get in touch with you somehow, so that you can always be a member of the house. And since you're a journalist, and we will not be tagging you as an opposition journalist, any political party. And Abato, your final word on this?
Well, I think we have to spend more on intelligence and logistics, and the strategy has to be different. Now that we are on the final phase of the war, but the war is not yet won, and it will not be won in the next 5 years. So we have to spend more on intelligence gathering. I mean, you see, if you look at the last 2 weeks, our military men have been able to devise a way of intercepting them before bombs are detonated. That kind of intelligence is what is needed now to reduce their impact within the country.
Yes. Look on.
Yeah, well, let me just simply say that I commend the president in his ability to galvanize the West Africa country. Yes, I think it's a fantastic thing for him to do.
And he's showing that dexterity as a general, a retired general.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that we have good news about Boko Haram. I want to continue to hear such good news. I long for that day when we can actually say that these guys have finally been defeated. That is what I want to see, and by God's grace, that day will come.
It's going to be, the week is going to be an interesting one. Very interesting week.
We are ready.
We are ready here, and that's it on Journalist Hangout today. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11, and you can also watch Journalist Hangout on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.